Hello and welcome to Here to Listen's podcast. My name's Steph. This is Emily.
Hello.
Hello, and we've got Anita and Katie joining us today. Girls, you just want to introduce yourselves? Perfect. So Katie and Anita are on our NCS Keep Doing Good programme at the moment. We had a little podcast going on yesterday as a little trial, having a little chat with the young people, and it turned out to be a really good success and a lot of interest happened. So now we're doing a little Keep Doing Good season with our NCS participants at the moment. So how are you finding the NCS at the moment, girls?
Personally, for me, it's good. Well, I've made some good friends already, and we've been doing it for not even 4 days yet. And I think it's really helped with like my confidence on talking about things that like I care about. Like we did a debate yesterday that was really good, and everyone's really chill. I thought I'd like be nervous the whole time, but I'm really not. It's really fun.
What sort of
topics? You challenge you in different ways.
What sort of topics did you talk about in your debate?
We did whether lockdown was a good idea or like when it was put in place was the right time.
Oh, okay, cool.
The 14, I had to kind of argue that it was. So it was quite difficult because I don't necessarily agree. But I think we did really well. We got some good research and stuff. And we wrote loads. I think we ended up having like 6 or 7 pages of just argument points and stuff. So yeah, it was really good.
Oh, cool. Anita, did you do the same?
For us, we did the exact same one. We did the same one. We also did the should men and females get equality pay.
Wow,
nice.
Some hard.
We had done both, and it was a really hard one. For the lockdown one, we also did. I was also on the team for 4, and for the equality one, I was also on the team for 4.
Cool. Okay.
That's awesome. So we're going on from our podcast yesterday. The lovely Emma that joined us, she was talking about, you know, young people don't have much of a voice and they don't have much responsibility. That's something that we actually agree with as well. Like we do feel at that age, like going back to when I was 16, I had no responsibilities and your voice isn't heard. So some of the topics that we want to discuss with you guys today is just about that and hearing your voice. So what are your thoughts on like voting age? Do you think the voting age should be lowered to the age of 16?
Well, I think yes, because recently, especially with a lot of social issues that have been going on, Instagram has been a hub for like a lot of people my age to like express their anger with a lot of stuff. And it's made me realise that people my age, like we actually do care about our future, no matter what like people think. And we, like most people that have been posting about stuff like this and have been like donating and signing petitions, I've seen are actually teenagers, which I was really like pleasantly surprised about. And I think the good thing is we don't have any party bias, but we understand we actually care about political and social issues. And I think we'd be the right people to be able to vote because it's our future that we actually do care about, you know?
Yeah, definitely. Sometimes, you know, it's a lot of the time you see, you know, older adults, even elderly people or whatever, who have the right to vote, and you guys don't. You guys are both 16 at the moment.
Yeah,
perfect. So you guys don't have the right to vote at the moment, but elderly people and sort of middle-aged people do, and they're making decisions effectively that affect your future. Is that what you're saying, Katie?
Definitely, yeah.
Yeah. Anita, how do you feel about it? Would you like to have the opportunity to vote?
I think so, but I think at the same time they should teach kids. They should teach us how to vote. Like if you ask many people our age, we don't know how to vote unless you took like a business subject in your GCSE. A lot of people don't know what voting can do or even how to do it. So they informed us, you know, this is how you vote, and you can make a change by voting. You'd get people to do it, but if you don't teach them how to do it, even though you open the age gap for us to do it, they can't because they don't know how.
That's a really good point.
I completely agree with you. Like I'm 30 years old, and I'd say it was only in the last like 5 years that I actually really understood what the voting was about. And I'm not very academic or anything like that anyway, but
or particularly politically minded. Same as me,
like I'm not like that at all. And for me, it was like actually I really need to actually study what I'm voting for, to what I want for my future and for our younger generation, because ultimately the older generation are still voting for what they've always believed in, essentially.
Yeah,
but
that's what Katie was saying, I think, about that sort of
so that goes back
party
to
bias.
It's what we want for our younger people, and this is your future. So I genuinely believe that, you know, the voting age should be lowered to 16 and you should hear your voice. So
yeah, something I was saying this morning is when we were talking about bringing this topic up and discussing it, it was the fact that in a year's time, you guys will be able to drive, like legally, you'll be able to learn to drive, could pass your test pretty quickly. So at 17, you'll be able to drive, but you won't be able to vote on fixing potholes even in your local area. You know, you can't vote on any of those things. So that's really tricky. And you guys might have part-time jobs and you're paying taxes, but you don't get a say in where those taxes go. And I think one of the big things about, like you were saying, Anita, is that actually there does need to be some education around it, because I think there's this sort of missing gap between actually, yeah, what we're voting for is to do potholes and taxes and other things and pieces. It's not actually just to vote on who the leader is going to be of the country. And I think that does get missed a bit. So yeah, I think that's a really good point, actually, that we need to put it out in schools and stuff. Do you think sort of 16-year-olds are responsible enough to sort of vote, and do you think they're mature enough and responsible enough to vote and have their not even just voting actually, but have their say on particular matters? I know how I feel about this, so it'd be interesting to see how you guys feel. I think we'll agree. Anita, what do you think?
I would say yes.
Yeah.
Because it's like when we have to think, we're like, okay, this is now our future we're talking about. People tend to mature about, okay, you know what? Whatever I say now is going to affect the future.
Yeah, definitely.
Kind of thing. So they'll work on to maturing themselves. But especially when it comes to like things when you'll be driving soon, you'll be thinking, okay, now I need to do these things. I'm going to be driving. I'm going to college now. This is our point where we mature and we really look at the world and think, okay, now we've got to come out into the world. It's a different experience.
Okay, so you think that actually having those opportunities would make you more mature even? That would give you the sort of kick up the bum, if you like, to get more mature and get sort of know what you're voting for and stuff.
Yes.
Yeah, that's good. Kate, are you the same?
I think, I agree, because I think we all have people my age. Yeah, we all have a maturity level, which I think has just sort of come about as we've started like with GCSEs and just sort of getting older. We do have more responsibilities as sort of young adults now, but I think our responsibilities could be like increased, because I think thinking about going out into the world in like 2 years, less than 2 years, being an adult, there's a lot of stuff that I don't know how to do, and it's very daunting, and it scares me that like filing taxes is such a simple thing, but I wouldn't know where to start, you know?
I think most adults don't know where to start when they're filing taxes. So I think you make a really good point. Yeah, definitely.
I have zero clue. Like literally.
That is why all adults have accountants, definitely.
And I think if we were taught, like, I honestly, I've never understood why we haven't been taught a lot of basic life skills at school, because you've done like cooking and stuff like that. There's a lot of other stuff that comes with being an adult, whether it's responsibilities, mental health, physical health, stuff like that we just aren't taught. And I think that's why a lot of adults like young adults, they get into adulthood and being completely independent, and I feel like they could be a bit lost.
Yeah, no, definitely. I completely agree with you on that one. They don't teach you the life skills in school that they actually probably should. And I think that's where it ties in with the NCS, and that's why definitely. The NCS is so popular, is because we do give you those life skills. Obviously, we haven't had the programme that we'd wished and hoped for, but just this week alone is hopefully giving you guys a little bit more of life skills and a bit more independence, and hearing your voice as well, of what we're talking about. Going back on like the responsibility, obviously everybody does have some sort of responsibility in one way or another, but like, is there any specific responsibilities that you have now, and that you'd like more of?
More options, more choices?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, at home, my parents have definitely like pushed me more to be more independent, doing like more chores, and I have an allowance, so that helps me budget money and stuff.
Okay, cool.
And I think NCS is definitely helping with that right now, with sort of increasing what I would be able to do. But yeah, my abilities now are quite minimal, I think, to be honest.
Yeah. Is that the same for you, Anita? You're sort of nodding along. People can't see that on the podcast, but yeah,
Yeah.
what are your thoughts?
For me, it's like almost the exact same thing. Like, it's the exact same thing. I would agree completely with what she said. It's the exact same thing. I would like to have more, but I don't really have many now.
Okay.
Perfect.
I think one of the things that stops young people from being given sort of opportunities or responsibility or having their voice heard is probably the sort of perception of young people, that sort of, oh, young people don't understand, or young people aren't mature enough, or what have you. How do you see the perception of young people at the moment, whether it's in the media or with sort of other people that you meet, maybe older people or what have you? Are you seeing that sort of perception, negative perception?
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, you both were very sure about that. Yes. Anita, go on, fill me in.
It's honestly, it's said a lot, and a lot of adults tend to, the way they do it, they kind of like backtrack and so they'll say we're too young to understand, but at the same time, like they'll treat us like a child, like you're too young to understand about this. But then when we now like some people I know aren't learning how to drive, and they're like, oh, now you're old enough, you're an adult, you're a young adult, you need to learn how to drive. But then I start putting in political points, they're like, but you're only a child, like you don't understand this whole thing. So it's like a very oddly balanced way they say it.
Kind of mixed messages, a little bit hypocritical almost. Yeah. One time, at some points, you're old enough to do stuff, and then other times it's like, no, you're too childish or what have you.
Yeah.
Is that the same for you, Katie? Is that what you found, sort of that negative perception?
I feel like it's kind of awkward in between stage. You're not a child, but you're not an adult.
Yeah.
But like, I feel like I'm trying to gain the independence and responsibilities and confidence I need to go out into the adult. But I'm still obviously a child. I still like need to be looked after. I can't be completely independent.
Yeah.
And the time I find, especially with parents, I love my parents, but sometimes they back different things. So at one point I'm a child, and then another point I'm like, oh, you're too old for this, or you're too young for this, or something like that. And I a lot in like the news and stuff. All the stories you see about young people are generally about how they are like selfish or rude or just negative, you know?
Yeah, a lot of negative comments on social media and stuff regarding young people, isn't there?
Young people are hoodies and they all hang out in gangs.
There's always like a different perception to our young people.
Yeah.
What does the future look like for young people in your eyes, Anita?
In my eyes, I hope that we get more say in what's coming up, because it's going to be like our generation is the one that's right now currently going up, and for young people themselves to believe in our believe in our opinions and believe in our says, because it's our life, and not let like the way people portray young people as like gangs and stuff, to not let that be a stereotype. And I kind of hope that young people ourselves can show that, you know, we're not kids anymore. We are growing up, and it's now our turn to have our say.
That is actually wicked.
That's a proper ideal future. I would love that to be the case for you guys and me. I still consider myself to be reasonably young, so thanks, guys.
I'm young too.
Katie, what's your thoughts on the future? What are you thinking?
I agree with Anita. I think like the fact that we're young adults essentially, and we're the people. We all have quite progressive mindsets. I think because a lot of the older people in our like society and stuff, they've sort of had a similar consistency of things not being amazing, but they're used to it. It's quite traditional. But I think we could like we see our future and we want progress, like positive progress.
Yeah.
And we want change. And I think teenagers can be quite stubborn when they want to be. So I think we would be really good at like creating a better future.
I think some of that's already started, hasn't it? Like you say, your generation, probably your generation rather than ours, is really sort of positive, forward thinking. you see that with like the Pride movement and obviously like someone like Greta Thunberg with the climate change and stuff like that. So you guys are already making that happen, whether it's you personally or just your generation. It's already happening, and you guys personally are doing things through this program and probably in your own sort of home lives that are making positive changes to your future. So I think you're right, Katie. I think that you have a massive influence on your future, and I'm hoping that sort of comes off for you, because you've both got these great ideals about your future, and you deserve that, because you have worked hard as a generation to make those things happen. So yeah, that'd be good.
So we're gonna sort of like wrap up.
today.
Just as we wrap up, I just wanted to talk a little bit about the NCS, and just like, obviously, Kate, you said about your confidence and stuff. Do you feel like this week the NCS has helped towards your confidence? You're coming across on our podcast really, really confident as well. So even if you were a little bit nervous or anything like that, it isn't showing at all. So how do you think it's helped you this week being on our program?
I mean, I'm quite a social person anyway.
Yeah.
I like making new friends, and I can pretty much get along with most people. And the people here are really nice, the leaders included. And I've had like great conversations with almost all of them, and it's definitely helped with my confidence, because I mean, I'm not super unconfident, but in new situations I do get nervous. But when like everyone's in the same boat, like that's what I had to remember. And ultimately, we're all here for the same reason. We all want to be here,
absolutely,
like, make a change for ourselves. And so that's why we're taking this time, like, out of our summer holiday. And like, it's just as fun. Honestly, I'm so glad I did it. I've been doing it for a couple of days, and it's one of the best decisions I've made.
No, that's awesome. I think going back to the whole, it's the fear of the unknown as well, isn't it? So like for getting you out of your comfort zone, and like today, this is like mine and Emily's first time on the podcast on our own with nobody else here. That normally that we have a team and with the guys in the office that do run the podcast. So this is taking us out of our comfort zone, and it is a confidence thing. Like today has really helped for my confidence. Like I'm ready to get back on it again tomorrow. So keep going. Like you're doing amazing. So Anita, just to touch base on that as well, how do you think that NCS has helped you this week?
For me, it's like I got to meet a lot of people who are different. Like everyone in my group is all diverse in different ways. And like some bits that I know that other people didn't know, you could share that. And some bits that people knew that, okay, this bit in the community is not that great, that I didn't know. You all got to share ideas, and honestly, it was one of the best things I could see is everyone's new ideas, because sometimes I'm someone that tends to be like, my idea is the best idea, but I learned that, other ideas are actually better.
That's good.
That's awesome.
That helps so much, doesn't it? When we talk about young sort of youth voice and young people having their say, we have to remember that actually you're so different, all of you, and that you've all got something to say, and that can add to create something really fantastic. So I'm glad that you're sort of seeing that from that point of view as well. So yeah, that's good.
Excellent.
Perfect.
So we're going to wrap up. So enjoy the rest of your day, guys. And that's us from Here to Listen.
Thank you very much, guys.